And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have a super simple and delicious shrimp recipe for you. This one doesn't really have a name, it's just a shrimp dish sauteed with shishito peppers. And really super easy and incredibly delicious. We're going to show you how to make this one. And we're going to start off with our ingredients as usual. So we have these beautiful shrimp. And we have these shishito peppers. We're going to be using some onion, some garlic. We have a pickled hot pepper here and some olives, as well as some olive oil and a little bit of vermouth. And one thing that I missed in this shot is some feta cheese as well that we're going to add in towards the end. Now, the first thing we're going to do is marinate the shrimp for a little while in the mixture of olives, garlic, and hot pepper with some other things. So the first thing we're going to do is get these olives peeled, or not peeled, but get them off of the pits. Now, sometimes it's easy, as you saw Chef Caleb there just try to sort of twist it apart. Sometimes it's easy to do that. These ones we couldn't, so you're going to have to carve it off the pit with these ones. And we're just going to chop these together. They don't need to be pretty. They don't need to look good. We're going to mash them into a paste so that we can get them nice, evenly coated the shrimp with this. Once you've got it pretty fine, just use the flat of the knife and you're going to just make that a really fine paste. You don't really need to add any salt to this. Both the pickled pepper and the olives are quite salty already, so we don't need to add any salt to this at all. And if you see any big chunks left, then just give it another little chop. And we're going to set that aside once it's all a pretty fine mixture at this point. And that's exactly what you want. You want to be able to cover all the shrimp in that. We're going to add a little bit of black pepper to that, as well as just a dash of that vermouth. We have a really fancy vermouth here from a local winery and distillery. And then we're going to mix that up a little bit and then add a little bit of the olive oil. That's just to sort of help it flow just a little bit. We want it to be loose enough that we can mix it in with those shrimp and have it stick. So just a little bit of that olive oil. And there we go. That's our marinade. That is completely done. So we're going to get that onto the shrimp and let them sit for a while. So we're going to put that on the shrimp, get them well mixed in, make sure that they're well covered with this marinade. And we're going to let that sit for probably about an hour. And while we're waiting for that, we're going to get the rest of our mise en place done. So we have a couple more things that we need to chop. And there you go. Once it's all well combined, it's time to set that aside and just let those flavors come together. So next, we're going to we're going to get our shishito peppers ready. And with these, we're going to keep them whole. So we're just going to try and get all of the stem parts off without cutting into them and opening them up. So we're just trying to keep them whole, keep them without cutting them open, and just get those stem bits out. Now for the onion, we're going to cut out the core, that little bit of root at the bottom there. And we're going to give these a little bit of a French cut. So you'll watch Chef Caleb here. He has removed the core bit there. And he's just going to give it a nice slice all the way along in that sort of radial pattern. And then when he gets to that part, he flips it over and finishes it off that way. And you get these nice sort of thin strands that way, and it's exactly the size we're looking for. So once those shrimp have been marinated for about an hour, it's time for them to hit the pan. So we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. In goes the shrimp. You want to make sure your pan's nice and hot so the oil is already shimmering when this happens. And then once the first side of the shrimp is pretty much done, we're going to add the onions. And we're going to add the shishito peppers as well. So we're going to add the onions, spread them around a little bit. This is just before the first side of the shrimp is completely done. Add in the shishito peppers. And again, we're not going to add a whole lot of salt to this because most of the ingredients in that marinade are quite salty. Then we're going to flip everything over. And we're not going to cook this for very long. We just want to cook this until the shrimp are all the way cooked. If some of them don't flip, then you can just flip them over manually. And once they're almost done, we're going to add in our feta cheese. And this is going to just add this sort of richness and creaminess. It's going to thicken the sauce a little bit. And again, the feta cheese is also very salty. So you notice we're not adding a lot of salt to this because a lot of the individual ingredients are quite salty themselves. So the olives and the pickled pepper and the feta cheese all have a lot of salt in them. So we're not going to add, you can add salt at the table if you want, but we think you'll find this just seasoned properly just from adding the ingredients. And once those shrimp are done, this is finished. It's really, really simple. This makes a great topping. You can put this over rice. You can put this over noodles or anything like that. The feta cheese sort of melts into that sauce and it really comes together nicely. We had this with like a flatbread and some hummus and some more olives on the side, a little bit of tabbouleh, and it came out really delicious. It's absolutely super simple, very, very quick to do, and no trouble whatsoever. It takes once everything's done and marinated, the cooking time is 5 minutes. It's really, really fast. Really delicious. We hope you'll give this one a try. Makes a great side dish or a main dish. You can use this if you want to do surf and turf. This is a great side dish for surf and turf. Absolutely. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. Thank you to our patrons, and if you're interested in supporting this channel, I will put a link to our Patreon in the description below. And remember to love your food.